Dzogchen Today podcast. Welcome to Dzogchen Today's podcast. This series of What is Dzogchen dives into the foundation of Dzogchen and presents the richness of its tradition, its history, lineage, path, fruition, and much more.
Hello, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Vincent, and I'm gonna be your host today. Since 2 episodes now, we are deepening one of the central triptychs of the Dzogchen teachings, namely base, path, and fruition. And last time, we talked about the path of Dzogchen. If you miss it, I recommend you to go listen to it online. Today, in this 7th episode of What is Dzogchen, we are going to discuss the topic of the fruition. And to find out more about it, I'm very pleased to welcome Mila Khyentse Rinpoche.
Hello again.
Hello. And also Grégoire Langouet.
Hello.
Hello, Grégoire.
Hello, Vincent, with a French accent.
Oh yeah.
Vincent, it's better. Yes.
Okay.
So I am Vincent.
Sounds really French.
So let me first introduce our guests. So, Mila Khyentse Rinpoche, you are a trained scholar, consultant, and teacher of Dzogchen, and you have been traditionally trained in the Himalayas, in Europe, and you are now a lineage holder.
That's right.
Grégoire Langouet, you are a PhD student at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. You studied philosophy and religious sciences. You're the co-editor of Vue de l'Esprit Publishing House, and you're also a translator from Tibetan.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Seems to be myself. But
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
thanks.
So let's talk about Dzogchen
Sure.
and about the fruition. And the first question I would like to ask to you, it's what is meant by fruition? In the Great Perfection, what is achieved? Grégoire?
So, fruition is a term that sometimes is synonymous to like the result. Maybe fruition is more like an imagined word that can relate to some culture. Maybe in our own language, we will more talk about the result. Usually, we think about the result of something, so different from where it starts. But what's a bit specific in the Dzogchen tradition, maybe you've already talked about that in the previous episode, is that the result, when it's fully achieved, is the recognition of the ground, the recognition of the base. So in a way, there is a path in between. I think you talked about that during the previous episode. But the path in a way is illusory. And so what you think as a result in the Dzogchen is the recognition of the primordial ground of reality, which is the base itself, which is the ground.
And Mila Khyentse, you want to add something?
It's the recognition and the achievement, because the result is, first of all, yes, for sure, the recognition of the real nature of the reality, which is the base of the reality, and its achievement, because it's the end of the path.
So we can say that the result of Dzogchen is at the beginning of the path.
Yeah, sure. And this point is crucial because, as we said in the previous podcast as well, the Great Perfection declares that everything is at the base. The true primordial nature is the ground, the primordial ground, as well as the ground of all the phenomena. So it means that we cannot reach something else because you don't have something else outside this base, this ground of all and primordial ground. So in fact, we say that great perfection is at the base. And if it's at the base, you reach, and it's an obligation, you reach the base again and again and again, which is the path. So when you talk about the fruit, actually, it's a question also of maturation. It's a question of ripening. You ripen the fruits of the great perfection, and then when you reach that, you reach the primordial ground of all the reality, which is at the base of yourself, your true self. You can even say your enlightened self. It's a bit paradoxical, but it's we are talking about being of enlightenment and being of illusion. So when you reach the result, it means that there is no being of illusion anymore. There is just the being which is at the base, the being of enlightenment. And this is the end of the path, the achievement of the base of the great perfection.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
And what seems a bit paradoxical, so about the path itself that is illusory, but that you need to walk along in order to achieve this result, mean that ultimately there's no effort that need to be made to recognize and achieve that result, which is the base. So on the path, from a so-called like relative or provisional perspective, you seem to have a will to do effort, to practice some practices, but ultimately there's no things you have to do in order to recognize what's already there.
Maybe that's why we call Dzogchen sometimes the tradition of the result.
Exactly.
And what is the difference with the other tradition? Why do we say tradition of the result? Mila, Khyentse, Rinpoche?
The difference is usually when you talk about causal vehicle, the vehicle of the cause, it means that the result is the fruit you achieve in the end. It means that the result comes from your path. And the path is a mean to achieve the result. But for the great perfection, and which is called actually the vehicle of the result, the vehicle is just a mean to recognize that the result is at the base of the path, which means that the path is illusory. And if the path is illusory, then the most important for the great perfection, it's the base. And the base is the result. So this is why it's called the vehicle of the result. Because there is no result you will achieve outside everywhere than in the base. So everything is at the base, including the result. But you need to walk a path to be able to recognize that the result is at the base.
Yeah. And just maybe to repeat what I was saying before, it's like from the path perspective, the path perspective, you have to make some efforts, you have to do some practice to achieve the fruit, to achieve the result. But actually, from the result, which is the achievement of the base, there's no efforts that need to be made. Just have to recognize, to let be the primordial reality of what is, which is like the empty essence and the luminous, like natural expression. I think you talk about that in the previous episode about the base. But of course, this is some words. Like personally, I can share these words, this idea, this concept, but that's not something I have personally achieved. So I can provide some information, some words about that, but then it has to be shared by somebody who really embedded it.
So we have a path, which is not a path,
which is an illusory path.
Illusory path, and in a primordial way, it's illusory, but we have to walk it.
For sure. And it's the best way for us, human beings, to be able to recognize that we are going back to our primordial nature. We need steps. We need to do things. We need to realize that we reach, some steps, some stairs we have to climb, and so on and so on. So it's exactly like when you want to reach a destination, you need to, as I am French, okay, I want to reach the capital of light, which is Paris. and I am starting from, I don't know, from Norway, for example. I need to know where I will go through, where I will pass by to reach the final destination. So this will help me to know that I am on the right path for me, not on the right path universally. But for me, I need to know that I am walking a path and I am improving step by step, and knowing that, okay, this is for sure. I made a step further than the previous one. And I know that I am getting closer and closer to my primordial nature, which is great perfection. So it's illusory. I know it because I am practicing great perfection. I know that, but I know also I need this roadmap, this illusory roadmap to reach for sure, without any doubt, the great perfection of my mind. So in this way, of course, the reaching something is illusory because it's at the base, but I need to reach. And this is because I think I reach that I am, and I can dwell naturally into the base of the great perfection, which is the pure manifestation of what I am really.
Thank you. Grégoire, would you like to add something about it?
Not specific information that I could add to that, but then this notion of illusion, maybe we can dwell a bit on that and trying to understand a bit better what does that mean for the Dzogchen tradition. So you say like the path is illusory, and walking along that path, you slowly and step by step start to recognize how does the reality as an illusion, as the whole manifestation, which is we call reality, does function. Most of the time it's like in a dualistic mode, like we distinguish between someone and something, like me observing some phenomena from the outside. But walking along that path, trying to achieve the result, this specific process of like recognizing one object outside of me as a subject slowly disappear, and we try to come closer to what we can call like non-duality, which is like starting to recognize that actually the manifestation of reality is not something separated from me that perceive it, but it's only like the manifestation or the deployment of the primordial base.
So what you are saying is when the path has been traveled, has been walked, maybe the result, the fruition, is the fact that the illusion disappear. That's what you mean? And Mila Khyentse, would you like to confirm this?
For sure. This illusion disappears in the end. This is the achievement, actually, of the great perfection. This is also a part of the result of the great perfection. So even if we are just walking an illusory path, again, we need to achieve this illusion as being really great perfection, as being really primordial nature. So, which is the fact that is important here is, again, being able to master. It's a way to say that, to master our own illusion and to recognize it truly as our primordial nature. So in the end, you have on the path, you have specific practices that helps you in the end to achieve that, meaning that you dissolve all the illusion of the manifestation of the phenomena, and you can say you make them naturally re-emerge as universal compassion. So universal compassion in this way is the true manifestation of the great perfection of the reality. So you completely realize, and it's not mental, it's not in an intellectual way. You completely realize, you finally liberate all the illusion of yourself, the reality, and so on. And you make the universal compassion emerge on its own, on itself, naturally. And then at that point, then this is what we call the enlightened activity. The enlightened activity is the true manifestation of the compassion through all the phenomena. So this is crucial. In the end, in fact, again, when you reach the results, you achieve the base. You achieve the view of the true basics, the true nature of the reality of all the phenomena.
So, does this mean that the suffering, for example, or any else manifestation will not disappear as itself? Manifestation still appear, manifest, but the practitioner will not see it as suffering, but as a manifestation of its own nature.
Exactly. All the pain, all the suffering, everything that arises as great compassion. Great compassion is love. It's compassion itself. It's joy. It's equanimity about all the phenomena of the reality. So at that point, the practitioner is the great perfection itself. It means that there is no more one who is practicing or who is reaching great perfection. It means that great perfection is great perfection in itself, in every phenomena. And this is, when you talk about that, actually, you talk about Dzogchen masters, you talk about beings able to give naturally, freely, and in all of their activities, the great perfection. So, and this is actually the goal of the great perfection. You can have a living example of the great perfection, and this is why you yourself, with this example, achieve your between brackets, as we say in French, you can achieve your great perfection. Without this example, then there is no point, there is no achievement. So this is why also it's so important to understand that great perfection is the conjunction, is the link between my amazing motivation to reach that great perfection, meeting the real compassion of the great perfection, which is not different from myself, but I didn't yet realize that. And when there is this amazing link between the compassion of the great perfection and the motivation of the great perfection, then there is the primordial path, which will be achieved as the great perfection of the result.
Thank you for this answer. And I have a last question about what will appear in the manifestation, in the perception of a practitioner who achieved this path and who is at the state of the fruition. How does it work for him?
From the little I understand about this achievement of the result of the great perfection, maybe we can come back to that notion of illusion and duality that resolve into non-duality. And in the experience of the practitioner, man or woman, when you come close to the result, anything that appear as a so-called outside phenomena, like the world, the so-called world that appear outside, a tree, a house, another being, or the phenomena that appear that's so-called inside, which is like a thought, a sensation, or an emotion. These two kinds of phenomena, as soon as they appear, they will liberate. And slowly on the path, the more you come close to the result, the more this process is spontaneous and natural. And little by little, it comes to be without any efforts. So for instance, like if there is a thought coming in your mind, just a little reminder of what it is, its nature, and it liberates by itself. And the more you continue practicing, this will happen absolutely spontaneously.
And thank you, Grégoire Langouet. Mila Khyentse Rinpoche, at the end of the life of the practitioner who realized it, what happened?
Nothing for the great perfection, actually.
He's not dying.
No.
The practitioner is not dying.
Exactly. There is no death in the end. So nothing happens. Nothing happens because everything is at the base. So if everything is at the base, the achievement of this existence, being great perfection, is not different from the primordial nature, which is clarity and luminosity, clear light, if you want. So ending this existence is just for others who are seeing, the great practitioners departing from this existence. But for the great practitioner, nothing happens, and this is called the rainbow body. Rainbow body, Jalu in Tibetan. The rainbow body is that all the manifestation of all the phenomena and their resultant phenomena, which is this body, will go back to their own base, which is clear light. So everything will be achieved up to the end, up to the small nail you have on the body. If everything is achieved as clear light, then the formal manifestation, which is the body, just vanishes, just disappears. We say disappears into the empty sky. And this is called the great rainbow body. The total achievement of the great perfection of the path, which is the result at the base. And this is the final end of the great perfection, but not the final end of the activity of the great perfection. Because this activity will just radiate all the time up to the end of the universe and the end of time. And it will be the living great perfection all the time for all the beings, being able to show them and liberate them, just going back to their own natural primordial nature. So in the end, the Jalu, the rainbow body, we say it's the great blessing forever of the great perfection.
Thank you. It was very clear.
Thanks.
And thank you both of you for being here today with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
And next time we will talk about the reality as human for the Dzogchen teaching.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Great topic.
Exact.
So stay tuned and see you soon.
Thank you. See you.
You can find more episodes on your website dzogchentoday.org. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast app and share it with your friends. We will be pleased to receive your feedbacks on podcast@dzogchentoday.org.